Hey guys, Nick from ArchCityPLO.com and Arch City Poker. Today's video we're going to talk about why limping is, well, terrible. Why you should not be doing it really at all. A lot of you guys that play low stakes games, you see a lot of other players limping. You decide to over limp. You feel like you have a good price. You can hit your hand and win a decent pot. This can happen for some players. The thing is, over time, it's just basically going to be a losing play. Like, there's no advantage to it. There are a few specific reasons why I encourage you to stop limping, start folding more often, and include some raises with some of the hands that are a little stronger that you might be limping with. So first of all, rake in low stakes games is going to be your number one enemy. Rake is going to eat into your profits way more than you even think it already does. And when you start playing more hands, when you implement a lot of limping into your strategy, you're just not going to win often enough to basically combat the rake that's just eating away at the potential money that you might be winning. If you're doing a lot of limping, you're probably not doing a lot of winning anyway, so the small amount of winning that you could be doing, the rake is taking a lot of that. Second is that you're almost always going to be out of position. Unless you're over limping on the button, you're almost always going to be out of position with possibly a range advantage if you do, or a range disadvantage if you do have aggressive players that are playing behind you. So I think that you guys, I think there's a big misconception that you have pot odds. If you get in there and hit a hand, it's going to be worth it. You're going to win a pot that makes up for all those other limps. If you really think about it, though, if you're in like a 4 or 5-way pot and somebody leads out pretty strong or they make a bet, it's pretty obvious that a lot of those players are going to play very straightforward. Like, players don't bluff in those spots, right? So it's pretty easy to fold to that kind of strength, and that means that you're not getting as much value out of those hands in those situations as you think you are. Another big part of this is that, let's say a more specific example, you are in the cutoff and you have 9-8 suited and you go ahead and you decide to limp. You're like, hey, it's a suited connector. I want to see a cheap flop. I don't care if I have multiple players in the hand. It'll play well multi-way. The button's going to be encouraged to either limp behind or raise to try to isolate you, and then you're out of position with a hand that has trouble playing out of position. So instead, if you raise, represent a strong range, you very often will get the button to fold. Best case scenario, you really are just taking down the pot pre-flop, and then you're avoiding rake a lot of times altogether. But if you get, let's say, the big blind to call, you have position, you have a hand that's pretty deceptive if it does hit, and then there are a lot of boards with the range advantage that you can bet on, that you can represent good hands, and you can get folds with a hand that has no showdown value. So there are so many reasons that limping is just really bad, but the main ones, again, rake is just going to be too much of a negative factor. And the second part of it is you're almost always going to be out of position playing the same exact strategy and game that the rest of the losing players around you are playing. If you really think about that, guys, that last part, think about, for example, the live low stakes 1-2 and 1-3 populations. Probably over 95% of those players are losing players, right? Like, I don't have the exact number, but it's going to be incredibly high. Now, the main reason for that is, well, there are two reasons. One, it's because those players aren't skilled enough to be winning players over the long run, or in the long term, I should say. And then rake eats away at the players that are slight winners, that they become basically break even or losing players. But if you really think about why are those populations full of losing players, it really does start with a lot of times their pre-flop actions and them just playing too passively and limping in with too many poor hands that, again, rake is eating into their pots. They're playing out of position. They have to hit to win. If you have to hit to win in poker, you're not going to ever be a winning player. You have to be able to win the pot in multiple ways. You have to be able to represent a strong range correctly post-flop, and that's going to be done by, honestly, pretty much getting rid of all limping in your range. The only time that I think any kind of limping is acceptable, if you have deep enough stacks and you're on the button and you have a bunch of limpers and you know their raise is not going to accomplish anything with a hand like ace-5 suited, pocket sixes, those nuttier hands that can win you some pretty nice pots, if you're on the button specifically, I think that's okay. But otherwise, if you are not on the button, you need to really consider folding or raising with those hands. And if raising's not going to accomplish anything, then you probably just want to fold. You want to avoid rake. It's going to be too difficult for you to win enough to justify playing the same losing strategy as the rest of the players at your table. So hope that video helped you guys out. And if there are any questions or comments, of course, go ahead and let me know in the comments section. Otherwise, come visit archcityplo.com. As always, loading new videos weekly on there, and it's going to help your game out quite a bit. So I'll see you guys next week, and thanks.